evening, welcome to Central News for Thursday the 30th of January. I'm Hilary Entwistle. The Western Bay of Plenty is the second most unaffordable housing market in New Zealand, but smart growth is not the one to blame, says the chairman. A recent Demographia report found the median house price is 3 times that of the average household income, making the area severely unaffordable, and many have pointed the finger at city planners and councils. Independent Chair, Smart Growth Implementation Committee, Bill Waisley, says the situation is not that bad in the scheme of things.
There are obviously issues around affordable housing and that type of thing. There are those similar issues that are in the Hamiltons, the Aucklands, the Christchurches of the world. It's probably, in my view, less of an issue here than it is in Auckland, but that doesn't take away from the situation that there are a range of issues related to it that we do need to, and I use the royal we, across a range of agencies, need to look at and address on housing affordability issues. Tomorrow night will be the launch of the Tauranga Jazz Festival, where the international and national acts will be announced. Jazz Festival Director Bex Chambers says they have a community collaboration planned.
So we thought we'd open it up this year and just invite the whole city to come and celebrate the fact that, you know, it's another year of Jazz Fest and get the brochures out there. We've got really cool things happening. The Big Little Markets are going to be down on the waterfront here, so there'll be lots of things to see and buy and look at. We've got some children's rides. We've got the Easter Bunny, just to get everybody in the mindset of Easter. We've obviously got the shiny new brochures for everybody to take away. We've got a great jazz band, Dee Dee DeLuca and her band, so that's going to be some really cool music.
Now for our region's weather. Hamilton, your Friday will be fine with a southeasterly breeze and your expected high is 26 and an overnight low of 12. Tauranga, fine, but there is a rather gustily southeasterly predicted. Good day for the washing then. Your expected high is 24 and an overnight low of 15. Just ahead, a new Boaty app. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. A free smartphone app has been launched giving water users across New Zealand easy access to all the information they'll need when heading out onto the water this summer. Harriet went along to the Regional Council and found out about the features of the app.
Well, it's got lots of different features. Probably the biggest one would be the tides times. It's got all of the boat ramp information and all of the bylaw information. And it's all represented all graphically, so you don't have to go through and read screeds and screeds of notes. And it means that it's easy access for people to be able to go through and grab the app. They don't have to have lots of different bylaw books or anything like that.
And who's been working on developing MarineMate?
That's a very long list of people actually. The Waikato Regional Council own the IP for the app, and basically we've put together a project group of a lot of different people from around the country in central and local government. So our main contributors to that are Maritime New Zealand, Water Safety New Zealand and ACC, and one of our big partners in there who have got a lot of information on there themselves is Land Information New Zealand.
So what does MarineMate now mean for boaties?
Well, we're sort of hoping that it'll reach a little bit further than boaties. It'll sort of help all different types of water users. So if you're a kayaker on the water and you want to go somewhere to learn how to do something, or a stand-up paddleboarder getting used to something for the first time, you can look at the app and know where to go to find a non-powered zone, so you're not going to get affected by people's wake. Or if you're going to a different lake that you've never been to before, then you'll be able to look at the app and know where the different ski lanes are. And it just means that the different types of things that you do, you know where to go to get the best out of that activity.
And how will it help when it comes to boating on different waterways around our country and keeping them safe?
So a lot of people don't realise that there's different bylaws all around the country. So each regional council has their own bylaw, and that can mean some slightly different things in different places. So you can cross over a line and not realise that there's different rules. So this means that your smartphone app will actually pick up which region you're in and show you the differences. For example, if you are a boatie in the Bay of Plenty and you come across to Hamilton or go up to Auckland or Northland, even to Taupo, you need a boat name on your boat and also a jet ski registration. Whereas in Bay of Plenty you don't need one. So your app will actually pick that up and it'll tell you about that. So it means that you can get that done before you enter the water, or you can go and see your local harbourmaster and get your jet ski registered before you jump on the water.
So are there any restrictions as to where this app will work when it comes to coverage and that sort of thing?
Well, when we were developing the app, we were quite conscious that lots of different waterways, either coastal or inland, you drop out of cell phone range quite quickly, and that's whether you're in Northland, on Manawatu, or down in Queenstown Lakes. So what we wanted to do is make sure that you didn't have to be in a Wi-Fi area or 3G, and so the app contains all the information in the phone. Just means that if you do happen to drop out of cell phone range, all the information's there and you can see whereabouts you're going or what restrictions there are in that area. It's especially helpful and if you're on the Waikato River and you're coming near a hydro dam. So.
And why would you encourage people to download MarineMate? I guess what are the benefits to individuals?
I think if you're a boatie or a water user, there's lots of different information on there that's going to help you. It's going to help you have a much fun day. Boat ramps are different all around the country. They're made of different things, whether it be concrete. It tells you whether or not the boat ramps are useful at all different tides, and also if you need to have a boat ramp fee. So all of that's in there for the whole country. There's around about 1,000 boat ramps loaded on there. If you happen to be out at sea and you've crossed a bar and it's too rough to come back, the weather's changed while you're out there, you can look at your app and you can see the nearest alternative boat ramp rather than trying to cross back into that one. That can be quite a risk for boaties while they're out there. If you go into a different area, it means that you can actually look at everything on your app rather than sort of going into the councils and getting all the sort of bulky information. You end up with lots of brochures, and on the boat they can get a bit wet. If got your phone, you can actually go through and you've got everything for the whole of New Zealand.
Now, your team are going to be out and about giving away some freebies this summer, so can you tell us a bit more about those?
We've been very, very lucky to have support in Water Safety New Zealand and ACC. So they have a boating educational fund, and this is what it is. It's basically an educational tool. And what we're doing is various councils have been sent just a sample of these, and it has the QR code for MarineMate, so you just scan that and it'll go through to App Store. And it's also got the some of them, depending on which part of the country you're in, it could have something about telecom cables, the fishing app, which MPI have, or the boating code, which is what we've got here.
And what happens when people first log into the app?
When you first log in, there's 5 quick questions, and those questions help us to make the app get better as we go on. So it's what type of user you are, whether you're non-powered, kayak, rowing, powerboat or fishing. And it just means that we ask some simple questions around safety equipment so that we know how to make the app better.
So finally, tell us how we can download MarineMate.
So downloading that is very easy. It's on Apple and Android, so you just go to your app stores. And there's also a really neat YouTube clip that you can sort of have a look at and just see all the different types of things that you can do with MarineMate.
Remember, heading into some of this app, MarineMate has all you need to stay safe on our waterways. Download for free on your smartphone from the App Store. Coming up next, Crime Stoppers. Welcome back. Preventing crime and reducing the risk of harm among Māori in the Bay of Plenty is at the heart of a campaign by Crime Stoppers. I caught up with one of those involved, Senior Sergeant Anaru Pewhairangi.
Okay, the Crime Stoppers' new campaign is make that call or have the tangi.
How did the campaign come about?
The initial idea came about through a conversation with Matua Pakete Pou and the Eastern Bay Area Commander Sandy Venables at their Area Māori Advisory Board meeting. It came about because the Māori Advisory Board believed that Crime Stoppers would be a strong platform for our people to be able to utilise that service. to help us work together to reduce Māori victimisation.
What input has iwi had into the initiative?
Look, iwi has been involved from the very beginning, and what I mean by that is iwi have been involved in the design and now in the implementation of the Crime Stoppers campaign. So what we've had is we've had the iwi liaison officers from each of the areas across the Bay of Plenty working with focus groups around the design of the Crime Stoppers campaign to make sure that we've consulted appropriately and to make sure that we've taken iwi's approach to how we can best utilise the services of Crime Stoppers.
Is there a need, and if so, why, for this campaign to focus on Māori?
The feeling was that Māori across the Bay of Plenty region were more likely to utilise the services of Crime Stoppers due to a number of different factors, be the police interaction previously, Operation 8, and potentially trust and confidence. So as a result, we've taken that feedback on board and we've talked to Crime Stoppers, working strongly and in partnership with our iwi representatives to ensure that the product and the service that's being offered here is appropriate.
How will this campaign try to reduce the risk of harm and victimisation of Māori?
This campaign is about giving Māori a voice, and it's about us working together, police, Māori, Crime Stoppers, to reduce victimisation. And so it's quite courageous, and it's a different medium, one that we are excited. It's an opportunity for us to explore what we can do together with Crime Stoppers.
And how will the campaign endeavour to prevent crime?
Okay, look, the big picture for this campaign is the reduction of Māori victimisation. And as a result, again, this is about giving our people a voice and giving them an opportunity to be able to share intelligence with us around some of the behaviours that you'll see in the campaign.
How will you try to engage Māori specifically to use Crime Stoppers?
So, from the police perspective, our iwi liaison officers have gone back to the focus groups to ensure that the feedback has been provided to them around our campaign. Also, we're taking our campaign out to all of the marae across Bay of Plenty, as well as our schools and any other key stakeholders. Part of that is the iwi liaison officers prepared to present key messages around Crime Stoppers to any and all who want to hear about this initiative.
What issues have been identified thus far when it comes to engaging Māori in using a service like this?
Well, from the onset, it was very clearly identified that the importance of face-to-face meetings and consultation with our key stakeholders, being our iwi leaders, but also our focus groups. So it's been critically important that we, as a police service, make sure that we get our communication plan correct, and that we make sure that we have consulted appropriately with the right people. Because we want maximum benefit. Maximum benefit and the outcomes from a policing perspective is again to reduce Māori victimisation.
Why has it been decided to focus on road risk first?
Look, unfortunately, Māori males are high in stats for road-related trauma, and I'm talking about risky behaviour, risky driver behaviour, and unsafe vehicles. So look, as a result, the target audience here is it is more geared towards the aunties, uncles, whānau members who can influence our young Māori males. But also look, understanding the peer-to-peer influence as well, is that it's also targeted at our young female Māoris as well. So the risky behaviours I'm talking about here are, as you can see from the initiative, that we've got young people riding in unsafe motor vehicles, not wearing restraints, also their driver behaviour being risky. So we want to negate this type of behaviour, a social harm and the social cost for all, and it's $3.6 million is the cost for a fatality and or hospitalisation. We want to reduce these numbers. And also have our people sitting at the table at Christmas times and other key significant events.
What is Crime Stoppers?
Well, Crime Stoppers is an anonymous call line which provides the opportunity for members of the public to call in and work with police to help reduce victimisation.
Stay tuned, as up next we meet an amazing lady. If you have just joined us, welcome to Central News. Orphans Aid International is a charitable trust founded and run by people who care about the marginalised and disadvantaged among us. Co-founder and CEO Sue Van Schreven features in a documentary, The Orphan Lady, which follows her journey into Romania and her efforts to help abandoned children. Welcome to the program, Sue.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So when you first initially went to Romania, what kind of went through your mind?
Well, I was afraid to start with of finding children and not knowing how to help them. I was afraid of finding a kid in a really bad situation and not being able to do anything about it. But of course, things unfold gradually. And the first time that we did see children in a hospital abandoned, we were at that point of actually being able to set up a home. So you saw the first children and you had the power to either change their life or leave them. So it was quite a defining moment because you're making a decision, am I going to help these children or am I just going to walk out of here with some photos and say that was sad? So, you know, when you've got the power to actually bring change to a child's life who's, you know, really within the prison bars of a cot, you really have to do something about it.
So when was the orphanage set up?
So that was back in 2004 when we first met those first children, and 6 weeks later they came into our home, affectionately known as Casa Kiwi, which many people would have seen on documentaries. And yeah, so 2004, so we're coming up to our 10th year, and yeah, it's just been wonderful to see the children being fed through the home, and especially some of the children that we've had there right from the start. They really feel like family, and it's so lovely to see them develop and just to know their lives have changed.
So how many people have you got working in the orphanage?
So at Casa Kiwi we have a team of mums, and they're great mums. In fact, one of the girls at our home, she says, I love the mums here. And so there's a team of 4 mums that rotate so that they're through the night there as well. And then we also by law are required to have a social worker and a health professional and some other staff that we need. So we've got about a team of about 8 there in Romania, but the work that the home is doing is much wider than the actual house. So we're doing a lot of work within poor communities as well, trying to see children, make sure they're in school. There's a lot of children abandoned in the hospitals. So what we're trying to do with the children that are left in the hospitals is find, is there any family members that can take care of them? Do paperwork on them so that we can get them out of the hospital, because a hospital cot is no place for a child to live. You know, you think about children or infants that you know, to have children living in a cot for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they're not a child. You know, they become, well, they are a child, but they become deformed. They develop some really huge problems. So, yeah, there's a lot of needs.
So for those who don't know, I mean, the backstories to Romania, why are these children being abandoned?
Yeah, well, it does go back a long way. You know, under communism, Romanian families were required to have 4 or 5 children, and if they weren't having them, they were examined as to why they weren't having children. But of course, the community was poor. People couldn't look after the children, so they were given up to an orphanage. So, you know, you've got to, for children to be put in an orphanage, you've got really extreme situations. So there was extreme things going on. So people were giving up their children to hope that their child would be fed, that their child would be warm. So then, of course, the orphanages weren't being looked after properly and became this overcrowding. But the problem that we have now is 2nd, 3rd generation orphans. So the last child that we took into our care just last week, one of the children, just an infant, its parents were orphans. So this child was born and put in a state orphanage. She's just come to our home, and you know, hopefully we can find a good permanent home and break that cycle.
So how many orphans do you have in the orphanage so far?
Yeah, well, we're involved in different countries now. So in Romania now, we've helped about 55 children. So we've got 10 living in the home, and we've got about another 10 in foster. And then we've had children that we've placed either with families or they've been adopted. So that's really cool, especially when you go and see them, and you see them a few years later and they're doing so well, especially when you see where they've come from. They've come from a real hopeless situation, now they're in families, you know, so that's just so good. In Russia, weekly we're reaching about 60 children there through a day centre where they come, and we children from the street, children from orphanages, so that's really exciting what's happening in Russia. And in India, where I've just come back from, we're feeding about 500 children a day, and we're reaching about 600 children, you know, throughout the week. So that's really snowballed in India, but it's so good to see. It's so good to see that kids that even just a few months ago who were really malnourished are actually looking, you know, much healthier now, and have got some good role models around them and some good caregivers around them, and protecting them too, protecting them from predators on the street, yeah. And other places we're really interested in and are just beginning to be involved is in Uganda.
Oh wow, and what's happening in Uganda?
Well, we're connected with some Kiwis in Uganda, and just looking at how we can help strengthen families to keep their children with them. So actually have a look on our website and you'll be able to read more about that. So all our projects are on our website, orphansaidinternational.org.
And I mean, what goes into the logistics? I mean, 500 kids to feed in India. What goes into that logistics of it?
Yeah, well, of course, that's been building up over 6 years, and you start things slowly and small because, for one, you've got to build trust and relationship with the knowing who's feeding and knowing that the money's been spent the right ways, but over time it builds and grows. So there's actually 11 different centres involved in Calcutta and in the further north, Yangon, which is sort of way up by Bhutan. So yeah, there is a lot of logistics, but we've got some really good people on the ground, really good people who are giving a lot of themselves, bringing rice, giving the, you know, and some of them I think, seriously, they deserve a medal because the sacrifice that they're putting into it personally, and the meagre amount that we give them, you know, is going, and I'm really multiplying it, so it's really exciting. And we've just got a new opportunity in India, just come up in the last few weeks, where at the Bhutan border is quite a lot of refugees who don't belong to Bhutan, but they're not Indians either, so they live right at the border. So just a couple of weeks ago I was there, and we were actually gifted a piece of land, so we can build a school which will be a feeding program, and it'll be a place where people come for daily food and of course to learn as well, and medical. We'll have the doctor come and visit. So that school is really exciting, so that's our next project that we're raising funds for.
That is the news for today. Email us and like us on Facebook and let us know of something interesting happening in your community. Join me again tomorrow night, same time, same place. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.